r/AskReddit asks, Pizza guys of Reddit, what's the strangest thing you've seen when delivering pizzas? I deliver for DoorDash and Grubhub, sometimes pizzas. One time I picked up an order from each app, same exact order, from the same restaurant, both named James, to the same hotel. When I knocked on the door, two guys were there and asked me which was DoorDash or Grubhub. I told them I was both and have both orders. They started to laugh really hard. When I asked what was so funny, they told me they had a bet on which one would come first. They thought it was going to be two different drivers and never thought one person would be using both apps. I laughed too and asked them which one was James. They told me they are both named James. I still wonder what other funny things those two guys come up with. Customer paid with a card and he had instructions to leave the pizza on a bench in a public area. Drop it off and quickly leave the area. I left but pulled on a side street where I could see the bench. I wait probably close to 5 minutes and then I see a man bust out of a dilapidated building I thought was empty. He runs up and grabs the pizza, he spins a whole 360 degrees and he is glancing in every direction as if he was afraid he was being watched. Then he hurries back to the place and when he gets to the door he sees me and his eyes get huge and wide, paranoid and fearful. He slammed the door shut. I just think he was tweaking or something wouldn't be out of the ordinary around here. That's me eating pizza while on a diet. Was delivering to a hotel, had a guy pass out on me 3 separate times in a 10-minute encounter. Apparently he was narcoleptic, but it still scared that crap out me. Narcoleptic here. He was probably having a cataplexy attack. We don't actually pass out, we're still conscious but we lose control over our muscles so we look passed out. There's also the scenario where it's only partial, then it looks like a seizure because we try to move only to cause spasms. It's triggered by emotion so he probably got nervous or something. Just simply coming up and there were 3 guys in underwear waiting for me. Handing the pizzas over and more just start coming out in underwear and these were also wearing cowboy hats and native headdresses, some kind of bro Halloween party or something. Got to grab my tip out of the dude's bra. It was funny as hell but when I left the building I had to process for a moment what the hell happened. Probably just the casting call for the new Village People reboot. I delivered to a hotel in the middle of a local golf course. Called a number to let them know I was there and was told to come on up. Get to the room and when the guy answered, there was a large group of guys, all in golf attire, surrounding a single guy in a chair. He was bound and blindfolded. The one that answered didn't even bat an eye, just asked how much and tipped me $30 Warily I took the money and walked away, but before the door was fully closed, I heard one on the guys ask, I wonder if he knows this is a. Before I even left the parking lot, the guy that answered the door called me to say that the bound guy was his brother and he was bound and blindfolded because it's his bachelor party and the stripper was waiting to come out. I just showed up way earlier than they thought I would. Some dude opened the apartment door completely naked. I was stunned but what came after that made me ask myself, is he some kind of fucking magician? He put a hand behind his back and pulled a wallet. Only reasonable explanation I could give myself was that he tucked the wallet between his butt cheeks. Quite the power move tbh. Some guy ordered a large pizza. When I got to the house he wasn't there so I called him out. He told me he was in the bathroom taking a shit and I had to wait 18ish minutes to get my pay. Shoulda taxed him a slice or 2 for the wait. Had someone answer the door once with a snake on his shoulders. Not like a milk snake or a garter but a ball python. Probably about 6 feet long. As he closed the door I heard him say to someone that I hadn't reacted at all lol. Sounded so disappointed. Added to clarify, this was almost a year ago. I am not a snake expert too so it is quite possible I misidentified the species. Thanks to those who've pointed out my mistake. Was it a rental snake? Just the other day showed up to a house to be greeted by two guys, about 25, on the roof in underwear, clearly ecstatic about the pizza being delivered. Did you Walter White the pizza up there? I delivered a pizza to a young girl who was home alone, and when she opened the door, her dog immediately ran away. I handed her the pizza, got in my car, found the dog and returned it. She left me no tip, so I was feeling kind of salty about it on the way back to the restaurant. A few hours later, her mother called the store asking to speak to me. She thanked me and explained they had left tip money, but their daughter was so upset about the dog she forgot to give it to me. I worked at this pizza place for 2 more years through college, and they would get 2 large pepperoni pizzas and request me to deliver it every week after that. They always tipped me at least $25. I am so happy that the ending is happier than the beginning was making it look like it was going to be. Also good on you, dude, for being the man and finding her dog. This buggers can run far and hide well. I walked into a hotel room. There was a guy in a towel, a girl covered by blankets in the bed, and a handyman installing a pole. Another time, I was met by a woman who decided that wearing pants was optional. Back in college, when I used to deliver pizzas, I delivered to the local county jail. An officer was taking someone to jail. The guy going to jail, still with his hands cuffed behind his back, got away from the officer and took off as I was walking in and ran into me. I'm pretty sure this guy was tripping on meth. The officer caught up to both of us on the ground, and were able to subdue him. I was covered pizza sauce, and the officers on shift took the pizza, paid, and each gave me $20. I told my manager and we remade the order for the officers, and I re-delivered the order. The police were grateful and I was given another tip. One deliver and I made about $400. And amp, number X200B, I should add, every time they ordered pizza from us again, they always requested the guy who knew how to take a charge, and would always tip me well. Good times. I was delivering a pizza to a high-rise once on a Saturday night. Got in the elevator and there was a guy dressed like a pimp who tried to buy my pizza from me that I was about to deliver. He didn't even ask what kind or what size, he just pulled out a $100 bill and said, "I buy that for $100, and I politely turned him down, so he pulled out another $100 and offered me $200. I told him I could get fired. Man, that was hard to turn down. Here's where things get totally fucked up. When I get to the door of the guy I am delivering it to, he opens the door and is dressed like a pimp also, like, huge colorful jacket, and he grabs the pizza and gives me a $100 bill and shuts the door. Pizza was about $35, so a $65 tip. TLDR. Got the biggest tip of my life from a guy dressed like a pimp just seconds after turning down the biggest bribe of my life from another guy dressed like a pimp. I had 2 teenage girls open the door in their underwear, as a joke I guess. They were probably 16 or something. They'd think it's funny, but I had to report it to my manager and hope nothing came of it. I was like 20 at the time. A previous co-worker of mine delivered pizza when he was in college, and he told me that he once pulled up to a house and a group of high schoolers ran across the street with a finish line. When he got there, they ordered from Pizza Hut and Domino's at the same time. I don't remember which one he worked for, but he won the race. I wanna try this NOW. Not mine, my father's story from back when. Was delivering for Domino's into a quite wealthy area. Knocks on the door, but is shuffling around inside. Guy opens it wearing a silk smoking jacket, woman in the background on the couch full naked. Hands my dad $100 bill for the one pizza order and asks if you can go grab me a gallon of milk and bring it back, keep the change. They got their milk. Glad I'm not the only one who likes that combo. I've been delivering food in general for 2 years, I've done just over 3,500 deliveries and unfortunately I haven't seen a single strange thing, not even something simple like a naked person. Maybe you just have high standards for what you consider strange. I delivered a pizza to this house and when I was standing on the front steps waiting for the guy to pay I could hear all this hootin' and hollerin' from inside. The guy keeps looking back into the living room and laughing. After punching in his info, he hands the machine back to me and says, "Fuck man, you gotta see this." He steps back and I walk into the living room where there's probably 5 other dudes watching some guy fuck this 700-pound woman's folded over stomach on a massive TV. There goes my pizza delivering dream job. I was delivering to a trailer park and heard the strains of bad karaoke from the driveway. Went and knocked on the door, was greeted by a 50-something couple in their underwear who insisted I come in to set the food down and receive payment. The guy offered me a beer and asked me to stay and party. I told him I couldn't, my boss would be mad. He started doling out my tip in ones, with which he would beckon and retreat deeper into the trailer. His wife kept eyeing me and giggling. I ended it at $3 worth of tip and just left as stoically as I could, then broke down laughing maniacally in my car. Delivered a pizza to the back door of a funeral home. 2 guys in their 20s answered the door, both wearing long black rubber aprons over their shirts and ties, and long black rubber gloves. The aprons were glistening with some fluid or other. Fortunately the guy paying took off his gloves before pulling out his wallet and paying. I was only 18 at the time, kinda freaked me out. To the point that today, 42 years later, I still remember it. One of our neighbors killed a pizza guy. Pizza guy was working his way through college. Neighbor got life for very premeditated murder. There was this house where a young couple had ordered pizza. I reached quite early and probably disturbed their sex session. The drunk dude had no idea that he had put on his girl's skirt. Not strange, but very difficult not to laugh at. A dude answering the door with a full-blown stiffy. Didn't expect us to deliver early, he was still busy with his wife. Answered the door at the hotel on my wedding night like that. It was the bellboy bringing our luggage up to the room. It was awkward. What do you do though? Edit. I should point out I had my tuxedo pants on and the button-up shirt. I tossed it on real quick when I heard the knock at the door. One time while out for a delivery, I get to this house and the dude with no shirt on, scraggly curly hair and beard going every direction, eyes red as the devil's dick, looks like he's been up for days, holds up a mandolin and just says, "Do you know how to play this thing?" I chuckle and say no. The dude slumps and looks down, yells back to friends, "Fuck man, pizza company." Guy doesn't know either. Another friend came to pay me and took the pizza. Not entirely crazy, but definitely memorable. I don't know if this counts as strange, but there was this one house I'd frequently deliver to. Polite woman in her late 20s, maybe early 30s would answer, and every time I'd deliver pizza there, her 3-year-old son would run up all excited and say, "Thanks Dad." Or craziest coincidence, I delivered pizza to this guy, he tipped me with 3 $2 bills. 2 months later, I went off to college, 750 miles away, and he was my intro calculus professor. This guy would order boneless chicken wings, a 2-liter of Diet Pepsi and the cinnamon rolls every Friday. I can't remember the name on the order, I think it was Michelle. Well, woman never answered the door and this guy gave us all the high B jobs. One day I said, "Oh, why is Michelle always on the order?" Michelle was his cat. The cat would eat the chicken and he would eat the cinnamon rolls. A guy was taking the order, while his GF was blowing him. That was just creepy. Thank science for online payments, since I didn't have to touch anything he handled. Was at this house, I knock on the door and a moment later a kid, probably 8 or 9, comes screaming down the hall and face plants into it from the other side. His mom opens it a few seconds later. Kid is smiling but definitely red-faced. I showed up to this massive house and a grandma showed up to the door, and the first thing I smelled was a shit ton of weed. This house not only smelled like weed, it literally was foggy inside. The grandma who opened the door was baked as shit and everyone else was. They invited me inside for a second, gave me a fat tip, and I left. Edit. Holy shit, I never expected this many upvotes. Thank you everyone. The fatter the rip, the fatter the tip. Strangest thing would be when I had to deliver pizza to my uncle. Of course it had to be a family member. Me being me, I walked in his house without ringing, just because he is my uncle and I am his favorite. When I went in, I caught him playing Halo 4 in his boxers and screaming at the TV. I died laughing and he nearly threw his remote at me. I learned to never walk in on him again. Well, finally one that isn't mentally scarring.